Well, hi everyone, it's Bronnie here again for another day in Bronnie's World, and it's day 1029 today. And it is Thursday, the 8th of December, 2022, down here, down under. However, today I've been trying to get this guest for ages. I have a really special guest today. She is the wife of our CEO, and her title is COO, which I'm going to get her to explain that because I've never heard of a COO until I come into longevity. Her name is Michelle Wallach, and I've only heard little bits of her story, but I kind of got intrigued as to what she does, what she gets around, and she always has a huge smile on her face. I see her all the time on everything and catch her with things, doing all sorts of crazy things, and she's the one behind our advent calendar, which hopefully we'll get next year down here, down under, and all that sort of crazy stuff. But anyway, I love Michelle. She lights up my light every time I see her doing her thing, and especially when she gets together with Annelise and Sheryl, the girls. I want to be one of those girls one day. When I come over, we're going to get together, girls. Anyway, without any further ado, here in Bronnie's World, because it's Christmas, that's why I'm in front of the Christmas tree. You know, it's Christmas time, December. I'm going to hand it over to Michelle because we've been chatting so much beforehand. I keep forgetting to press the record. So, Michelle, hi. Thank you for coming and being my special guest today. And I've been trying to grab you, and you're so busy, and especially with all this advent calendar stuff, which
definitely
is all exciting. But anyway, so I'm going to hand it over to you and let the viewers get to know a little bit more about what makes Michelle tick.
Sure. Well, thank you so much. And I think the question we started with right before we hit record was, what is a COO? What does a COO do? And I think I started to tell you, I didn't even know what a COO did, because for the first dozen years that we were operating longevity, we didn't have any titles. We didn't believe in titles. We're really one team, one dream kind of family at longevity. And though our distributors had titles, we made sure that we had no titles back at corporate. And in becoming a publicly traded company, it was actually the laws of all of that said, no more of that. You have to have a title. And so we had people come in and really focus on what each of us do as jobs. And of course, Steve was super easy to make him CEO, Chief Executive Officer, CEO. And then they turned to me and my list was like this long. And so they said, you're actually Chief of Operations. So what that means, and it's super easy, is I kind of oversee all the different departments in longevity. So it's kind of bad if you're a micromanager. I am a micromanager, having my toe dipped in every pool, from shipping to customer service to accounting to marketing to purchasing. Like, I am in tune with every department. We have great managers in place, great people running those departments, but who do they turn to when they need help or they need assistance, or, hey, what do I do in this situation? They turn to me. So the majority of my week is spent dealing with accounting. That's kind of a new thing on my list, dealing with accounting and dealing with purchasing and all of our products that longevity carries. And then, of course, when I do get extra time, marketing and social media are the two things that I enjoy. But there really isn't a department that I can't talk about when it comes to longevity. So the next time you meet a chief of operations, Rowan, that's who you're meeting. You're meeting somebody who really should have their pulse on every little aspect of their company. And that's what I tend to do.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I mean, I don't know how you fit it all in. Really, I mean, that's like running a household.
Calendars, organization. I've got a really great team. I'm very blessed.
Well, you do. I've got to know some of them, and it's the people around us. It's the same with even building this business. The teams that we get around us, the people that come and join us, sort of really make or break you, really, don't they? Well, that's what I feel, you know.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm only as good. They say it all the time, right? You're only as good as your weakest link. And that is what I say, you know, all the time. I'm only as successful as the weakest link in my chain. And I'm blessed that they're all pretty strong links. So we do the best.
They are.
They are.
So getting back to your story, because I really wanted to know that about you. I mean, what the heck is a COO? So
Believe me, I wish my title half the time was janitor, because there's nothing worse than somebody calling the company saying, I want to talk to the person at the top. And you're like, no, that's not me. I'm like, you know, I need a lesser title. So yeah. So sometimes I'm like, let's just make that Johnny Taylor in customer service. Today, you're COO. We joke about that all the time.
Oh, that sounds, I mean, look, that's called passing the buck.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes I want to pass the buck for sure.
But we know everything sort of stops, the buck stops with you and Steve, really, doesn't it?
It does. It does. So we take responsibility for absolutely everything. Even if it was 1000% out of our control, we 100% take the responsibility for it. The buck absolutely stops with us.
And I have noticed that, and that to me has been the difference between Longevity and a lot of other companies that I've seen out there, whether they're network marketing companies or whether they're just, you know, other big corporate type companies. It's the people that make it. And I think that's why Longevity's been around for so long. And then stay around.
Coming up on 27 years. Can you believe?
Oh,
27 years. It's amazing.
That's half my life.
Yeah.
No. Oh, I won't tell you how old I am.
That's okay. I'm not going to tell you how old I am either.
Most people actually know how old I am because I've never made a secret of it. But probably a little older than yourself. But anyway, that's beside the point.
It can't be too much. I have a 29-year-old.
Yes, but is that your eldest?
My oldest is 29. Yes.
My eldest just turned 40.
Oh, wow. You look okay. So you know what? Turn that around. You look absolutely amazing. You must have had your 40-year-old at 10. You look
right.
so great. I love it. No, you look amazing.
Oh, thank you. Well, you know, I must admit, since I got onto these products, I have noticed that my age, my appearance. Shouldn't say my age. My age is
really good. Your skin is vibrant. It's bright. I love it. I mean, your skin looks beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I know you are the master behind, or mistress, whichever. No, that's not the word used.
That's okay.
The creator behind the
mineral makeup.
Yes. I don't wear a lot of makeup, so when I wear it, I know I want to have the best on. But I'm a country girl, born and raised.
Especially being down under in that sun, the greatest thing that you can know about our mineral makeup that would really help you and inspire you to want to wear it more is you're putting on sunscreen. If you just put the base makeup on every day, you're literally lathering your skin in titanium dioxide, which is a pure sunscreen. So the lighter ones are like 25 SPF, and then the SPF goes up as they get darker. But you should feel good when you put on a little bit of powder onto your face, knowing that it's there to protect your skin, especially with the ozone layers down in Australia. So hopefully tomorrow when you wake up, you're like, okay, I'm not a makeup girl, but I might put a little bit of powder on because that's going to be my natural sunscreen for the day and even give me nice, even skin tone. And I don't have to worry about anything being bad in it.
Well, that's true. That's true. I'm just astounded at when you look into skincare, and not just skincare, but all sorts of things, and how much is in it. And people just can't understand why they're suddenly getting all these cancers and things.
Age spots, cancer spots. Yeah, it's a big thing.
Yeah, it is a big thing. But anyway, so I wanted to know a little bit more about your story and how you came about, I know how you came about.
how I came
Oh,
about with
okay, but you know how I've heard how Doc got you to come and stay with him. So like just your story is how you came into how longevity came about, how you came to be involved and brought
You
that
mean how
around.
Dr. Wallach tricked me to come down and help him start all this? Is that what you mean?
Yes,
The
exactly.
trick,
That story.
the just come for a week and help me story.
Oh,
So
was he only did he only ask you for a week?
yeah, he only asked me to come honestly for like 2 weeks and I never left. So it was 1996 and Dr. Wallach had returned from China. He was on an extended trip to China with my mother-in-law, Dr. Milan. And he knew that we had started our own little nutritional office. We were distributors back then. And we had started like a little office up in Oregon. We had grown it quite a bit. Like we had a couple of friends now working in it. Keep in mind, Steve and I still had full-time jobs. Well, I did anyway. Steve was a full-time pre-med student. And then he was working 2 other jobs and because we had a baby. And I was full-time working. And then we were doing the nutrition thing and being distributors on the weekends and on the evenings. And Rowan, I'm sure you can remember this. Like there was no computers back then and no internet, no email and no cell phones.
No.
We had a fax machine and everything had to be done in person. Like that's how we grew our business. There was no
fax machines back then were a real luxury.
Right. Well, we had the thermal paper, which I'm sure most of your people have no idea what that is, but it's really, really
I
thin,
do.
right? The thermal, and it smeared the second you took your finger to it, you'd smear the ink all over it. So we had a thermal fax machine and, you know, we had a telephone and we had postcards and we had in-person meetings. That's how we built the business. But we had built it up enough at that point, the dad had returned from China, that he was like, hey, I need a little office like you guys have. Will you please come down to San Diego and get somebody trained and help me have a little staff too? And I was like, sure. Yeah, no problem. I actually decided to drive down as it was the middle of winter. I can't even believe I made that mistake, but I put my baby, my baby came with me. And we went down to San Diego from Oregon, driving over the mountains and the snow and everything else. Steve stayed behind because he had school. And I remember the first week, okay, we get dad go, you know, we bought a couple of computers from the local computer store and I'm starting to interview people and week 2 goes by and I'm still like, you know, helping dad and we're like doing more and more. Week 3 goes by. I'm like, I'm still here. And we're like, I'm doing more and more and more. And those 3 weeks turned into 9 months. 9 months I stayed down there living with my father-in-law and my mother-in-law and our baby. And back then, Southwest Airlines, it wasn't the airlines you know it as of today. So airline tickets were expensive back then. They were like, you know, over $500 to fly. So I couldn't see Steve every weekend. You know, it was like once or twice a month. He was living with my sister and brother-in-law at that point. We had sold our home. And I remember at the end of 9 months, I flew back to Oregon and I, you know, really had to have a serious long talk with Steve of what are we going to do? I can't keep living with my in-laws in San Diego while he's going to school in Oregon. I'm like, either you're going to give up your dream of becoming a doctor and come down to San Diego and we're going to really take this to the next level, or I'm going to give this up and come back and continue to support you and go back and get my job back. I loved my job. Go back and get my regular 9-to-5 job back and continue putting him through school. And we would just, you know, go forth and not do the nutrition anymore. And that was just, honestly, in my 31 years of being married to Steve, that was probably the hardest decision he ever had to make. And he ultimately decided to give up school and came back down to San Diego with me, where we were distributors. So we left our office in Oregon, in case anyone's wondering. We had a good office in Oregon. We had a manager in place. I'm sure many of you have heard of Richard Renton.
Yeah.
So Richard Renton was running our office then. He still, you know, to this day is part of Youngevity and still has, you know, a good following and he helps as many people as possible. he stayed behind to run the office. We came to San Diego, and it was just a year later that we found ourselves not being distributors anymore and starting Longevity. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Dr. Wallach's like, can you come for a week? And that led to us permanently being in San Diego for the next 27 years.
That's crazy, right?
It's crazy. It's absolutely insane where it took us. But we knew that the work Dr. Wallach was doing was super important. We had become very passionate about it. And honestly, I loved what I was doing. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't have stayed. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't have pushed Steve so hard. I loved helping people. I loved the experiences that everybody got from taking the products that Dr. Wallach recommended. And to me, it wasn't work. Again, I had no luxuries of anything that people think about today. I had no way to communicate with people but phones and postcards. And remember, even the voicemails back then, everybody, they were cassette tapes, right? That's was a cassette tape. So I had to hope that you had enough room on your cassette tape that I could actually leave you a message if I got a message sent to you at all. And we loved our lives, and we loved everything that Dr. Wallach stood for. So to me, it wasn't a sacrifice, it wasn't work, and there was nothing about it that I didn't enjoy. And the roller coaster ride started, and I just went with it.
And so what was Steve studying?
Steve was doing pre-med. He wanted to be an oral surgeon. So we had both worked for dentists prior to moving to San Diego, and he had become fascinated with oral surgery, and that was the direction that he was going.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you see, that's probably why we've got a good toothpaste.
Yeah, for sure.
That's another story, isn't it? Toothpaste.
It is. That toothpaste is always a problem for me, for sure. That is not as easy as a product to make as most people think it would be.
Yes, well, you can tell the difference between ours and a commercial toothpaste, and you think, what the heck are they putting in this? And that's anyway, that's off on another tangent, isn't it?
No, totally.
Oh dear. So anyway, so you brought up your 3 kids, and you didn't live with Dr. Wallach for all that time. Like you were with him for 9 months. In fact, that's how long were you pregnant for?
Right. No, I mean, I love my in-laws, but I would tell anybody, if you want to know about the family you're marrying into, go live with your soon-to-be in-laws for a few months and then say, is this really where I want to be? Because I love my in-laws to no end, but living with them, that was an experience and a half for sure. The first time I ever met Dr. Wallach, before I even married Steve, I was young. I was 19. My mom had raised us on what I would consider to be a strict diet. She was very low sugar. Like we didn't grow up with sugary cereals. I had oatmeal for most of my life, or Cheerios. Those are my 2 staples for breakfast. And so when I was 19 and living on my own, I went haywire. Like I bought every sugar cereal that there was. I had macaroni and cheese on my shelves, and I had all the ice cream I wanted in my fridge. And I was just loving my life at 19. And Dr. Wallach came to visit us, and we went to work that day. I remember going to work in the morning, and I came home and everything had been thrown out. Every single, I mean, like you have to imagine, I wasn't making very much money, like minimum wage. And back then, minimum wage was about $3.50 an hour. So to have, cereal and macaroni and cheese and some ice cream thrown out, I'm like, there goes all my food, and I don't have any money to buy more. And he had replaced it with like whole nuts. I remember there being a gigantic bag of walnuts sitting on the kitchen counter. Like he had, bless him, I love him, bless him for going to the store for us that day. But he had just replaced it with foods that I had sworn I was never going to eat ever again. And then the one thing that he really changed in my life is I grew up on Imperial margarine. I don't know if they have Imperial margarine down in Australia, but that's what I grew up on, was margarine. Yeah, and he's like, from now on, you will only eat real butter. And I remember trying the real butter and thinking, I can't do this. I like the taste of the margarine. And that was the first nutritional change he did in me. Was he really explained what I was eating so that I could understand what was in that margarine. And even though I consider butter to be fattening, not that ice cream wasn't, but butter to be fattening and all these other things, he really changed my viewpoint, and I have never had margarine another day in my life. I remember also we didn't have any salt in the house. That was another thing. Like, we didn't have salt, we didn't have real butter, and he got like a gigantic thing of salt, and he's like, you need salt in your diet. And I was like, no, the doctor says salt's bad. We're not having any salt. And so first it was margarine, and that he had me switch out to butter. And then the second thing was he had me add more salt to my diet. And it wasn't until I got pregnant with Jonathan that I found out that I had a low salt level in my blood. Like, I didn't even know how low my salt levels were. And Dr. Wallach's like, that's not good. You need more salt. So low iron, low salt, low sodium in my bloodstream. And it was because I was believing everything that I was seeing in the news at the time. And sure enough, over the years, they've changed those views to where butter is good for you and salt in moderation is much better for you than no salt.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's what do they do you if you're in an accident or anything? The first thing they put in you is the saline drip.
Exactly.
You know? So if salt's bad for you, why are they doing that?
Exactly.
So they contradict themselves all the time, and I just don't understand it. Yes,
they do. So that was my first lesson with Dr. Wallach.
Well, it's a good lesson to learn. I mean, I grew up in a dairy farm, so butter was the norm.
Right.
And I remember when margarine was getting pushed here, and my mum would go, because she was really into what was going in, because she was allergic to so many things. Usually the doctors would try and put her on medication. She was allergic to it. There was not one pharmaceutical drug that she didn't have a reaction to.
Yikes.
Right. So, and she was allergic to penicillin, but a lot of it could come from the fact that she was run over when she was 5, run over by a truck when she was crossing. Should never survive that. She had a rheumatic fever as a child when she was about 5, and something else. Anyway, sort of things that most kids were dying of, rheumatic fever back when she was little. Sorry, yes, and she was tiny, like me.
That's a good.
Annelise is actually shorter than me. But
I'm a survivor of all of these things. I love that.
Yeah. Well, she's passed now. It's coming up for 20 years in March. But I mean, even peas. She was allergic to peas. You could hide peas in the food, and she wouldn't know it was there. And you didn't even have to tell her. And within half an hour of eating them, 20 minutes usually, she was violently ill. So, and it's not because she wanted to be allergic to anything.
No, of course not.
It was just her body couldn't handle certain foods together. She loves chocolate and she loved fruit, but she couldn't have the two together.
Oh wow.
So she couldn't have, say, a Black Forest cake.
Or a chocolate covered strawberry.
Exactly.
Right.
She could have them separately, but not together. So it's funny. I can eat strawberries, I can eat cream, I can do all that myself, and strawberry jam, but I can't have this. And this is something I've noticed with myself, and I don't know why. It might be just rubbish they put in strawberry milk, but I can't have strawberry milk or strawberry ice cream. It's just whatever they do.
Oh, those combinations together. The best. No strawberry milk. That's okay. There's many other things. I love it.
Oh, dear. But it's funny how these things come about. But fancy that it could be enough to have turned you off marrying Steve. Oh my gosh, I'm not sure if I could handle this.
I just remember saying to Steve, from now on, your dad stays at a hotel. So I really loved Steve. I'm like, I can make this work. He lives 2,000 miles away. He's probably not going to visit that often. And in the future, he'll stay at a hotel. We can make this work. Like I had all these plans in my head of how we can make this work. It's just, it's so funny because I honestly, we get married and I'm sure you've heard what Dad gave us as a wedding gift, right?
No.
You have no idea what Dr. Wallach gave us as a wedding
No,
gift?
no
Okay.
idea.
I'm 19 years old, so we have nothing. I make no money. I have nothing. And Steve and I are living together at this point. This was a short engagement, like from the time we met to the time we got married, it was only 9 months. And
Won't tell you how short ours was then.
yeah, and Dad gives us an envelope. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, he bought us a house, or he got us a car, or it's just an envelope full of money. Like I was so excited for it to be something we really needed. And it was an application to become distributors, distributors in a company that was selling nutritional products. Now, keep in mind, I wasn't taking his nutritional products at this point. I had just learned to give up margarine and, add a little salt to my diet. I wasn't in the least bit interested in any way of nutrition. He hadn't even filled out the application for us, by the way. The only thing he had done is sign his name, making sure that if we ever turned it in, he would be the sponsor of us had we turned that application in. So love Dad, love him. So a few years goes on, I take the envelope, I shove it into a desk drawer. I honestly can't believe I didn't throw it away. I throw everything else away. I cannot believe I didn't throw it away. I put it in a desk drawer. And a few years later, we got pregnant with Jonathan. And I was really sick in those early months, not just sick from morning sickness, but I was violently sick from taking prenatal vitamins, and they were gigantic, like they were big pills. And I'm like, there's just no way I can't, now I'm like, suddenly I'm concerned about nutrition, could care less, up until the point that I get pregnant, but now I've got another life that I've got to consider. So I call my father-in-law down in San Diego and I'm like, don't you sell like liquids of some sort? Like maybe you have a liquid that I can take because I'm just not able to handle taking these prenatal vitamins. And so he sends me up a couple bottles of liquid. Also, everyone needs to remember these are the days before we had flavors. Yes. So there was no flavoring whatsoever. The minerals tasted like raw dirt. And Dad's famous line, and he said it a million times, was, it tastes so bad, it must be good for you. So we had raw dirt, and then we had what we call our classic. So there was no tangy tangerine. There was no fruits in it whatsoever. It was straight vitamins and minerals. So when you opened it up, all the B vitamins would, go right up your nose. And so he gives me those, and I am like, I will tell everybody, I downed it with orange juice. So I would pour the minerals and the classic into a glass of orange juice, and then I would drink the orange juice. And I was going to those prenatal baby classes, where you meet other moms to be, and, the whole thing's all prenatal, whatever. And I was listening to other women who were struggling with the same issues that I was struggling with. They couldn't take their prenatal vitamins without getting really, really sick. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got a solution for you. And I was giving them my liquid vitamins and minerals and then calling my father-in-law and having him ship more for me. I mean, I kind of had Dad believing for half a second that I was consuming just an enormous amount of liquid vitamins. And so on the third call, I call him and I'm like, listen, I need more of this stuff. He's like, you're giving it away, aren't you? I'm like, yeah, because I've got all these girls and they're sick too, and I really want to help them. And he's like, no. He's like, you need to take that wedding gift I gave you, turn it in, and you're now going to start selling them the liquid vitamins and minerals that I've been shipping to you. And that was kind of the kickoff of our distributorship. Is I did find that application. I did fax it in using the thermal fax machine. And I started getting some products sent to us, and I started selling it to each pregnant woman that I was meeting. And it just, it just trickled from there. So that was the start of our distributorship, is only when I got pregnant with Jonathan.
And a wedding gift you didn't throw out.
And a wedding gift, I'm sure my dad could have gotten us, I'm sure my father-in-law could have gotten us another application, but I still had I wish I would have saved that. I'm sure it is somewhere buried in all of our stuff, but I would wish more than anything I framed that distributorship application, because it ultimately turned into the best wedding gift ever. And most people believe that in those early days too, that Dr. Wallach did everything for us. We hear it all the time. Oh, your last name's Wallach. Dr. Wallach must have just, fed you with a silver spoon. And I'm thinking, he wouldn't fill out the application for us to become distributors. Do you really believe that he built our business for us? We called him a dozen times. Hey, can you help us with this? Can you help us with that? And he'd be like, absolutely not. You guys need to do this on your own. And one time we got him to do a radio program for us. And we got that radio program recorded, and we must have replayed that radio show 24 times, that one show. And we brought in thousands and thousands of customers from that one radio show back in the 90s.
So would that be the Dead Doctors Don't Lie talk?
No, it was just Dr. Wallach on the radio doing a 1-hour broadcast about the importance of vitamins and minerals. It wasn't even Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Dead Doctors Don't Lie was out. I mean, we certainly had the cassette tape and that was available. But no, he was just talking about vitamins and minerals and the depletion in our soils. And we would take that recording and go try to get as many radio stations in Oregon. This is all in Oregon, trying to get them to play that 1 hour. We'd buy the time on the radio to play Dr. Wallach's 1-hour radio pre-recorded session. And then our phone number would be in that. And then we'd take all the calls. That's how we got Richard Renton to come work for us. We were filling up the cassette tapes in the telephone voice recorder. So we needed somebody there to be like retrieving all of those messages that were coming in from the radio show. And
yes,
that
because you fill up that cassette pretty quickly.
We fill up the cassette tape. Yeah. So we needed someone that could beat the cassette tape and be taking calls and then retrieve them off the cassette tape as fast as he was taking the calls. Only for a few days after each radio show that we played, but we'd easily get 1,000 phone calls in that time. And most people don't think that's even possible, but it was back then, because that was the only way a customer could reach you. They had no other avenues to reach you.
And now look, you're global.
And now we're global. Yes. Well, that's more of my husband than it is me, but yes, we are now global. That part's true.
See, well, look, that was a wedding gift that has lasted a lifetime of your marriage, really.
That is honestly a wedding gift that has bought us a house, bought us a car, given us some money. So everything that I envisioned that I thought would be in that envelope ultimately was. We just had to go and prove ourselves and work for it. So it only makes me love and honor Dr. Wallach that much more. And that's just one of the things that I've instilled in my own children is your success comes from within you. It isn't given to you.
And that's the same for all of us, isn't it?
I would hope so. I mean, for the majority of people out there that are trying to raise good human beings on this planet, I would hope that they would want their children to find success from within.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Because I truly feel that's what's missing with our next generation. Like the kids coming up today, they just want it all now and given to them instead of well, you have to put the effort in. And
you have to put the effort in. Yeah. No, for sure. They definitely want it easy. And my boys are no exception. I mean, I think they wish things would be easy. But they've all equally had to put in the time and the work to do what it is that they want to do in this life. And I'm super proud of them for that.
Well, it makes for stronger, what was the word I was thinking of? But stronger and more,
I think it's important that
not
they
even
have
intelligent, but more, it makes them stronger for it anyway. Just,
Yes, absolutely. And it gives them a sense of self-accomplishment. And I think we want that. I think you and I both want that for our children, is that, it's, you can give them the dairy farm, and that's great if it's self-working, or they can go and take that dairy farm to the next level and really create and grow it. But it has to be within them,
yes.
it's otherwise. So I have never said, okay, I'm just going to give you longevity on a silver platter. My two older boys, my youngest has not become an employee of the company, but my two older boys have both at one time in their lives served as employees of longevity. And both of them came away with, I never knew just how much work there is to do in running the company. It gave them a completely different light and understanding on all the different aspects of our company. Then it would have been just for them to see us as executives upstairs. I mean, Jonathan worked in the shipping department. Zachary worked in customer service. And guys, Zachary worked in customer service. He's 18, 19 years old. And he comes home to dinner and he's like in tears, like, oh my gosh, mom and dad, there are just some people that you've just got to give these products to. They're down on their luck. They've lost their jobs. They can't afford them, but they're going to die without them. And I'm like, oh, I just love you so much. Like the heart inside of my children, and I thought that was just so good for him to really listen to people on the phone, express to him how important these products are in their lives, because it's not something that they would ever understand just listening to Steve and I.
Well, of course. And I'm glad you actually shared that, because I find that with so many people that they don't see why I'm so passionate about these particular products and about wanting to help them, because it's not about me just selling them something. It's me wanting to help them live a better life, to look after their health and not be, sort of not have to have those tears of, if you don't have this, you're going to, the consequences are just not good.
Right.
As your dad, just father-in-law said to me the other week when we were talking about stuff, and he's about helping people, and I said something, unless they've already passed, he said, well, I can't help them once they've passed. But it was sort of, and I see people like that at all so often. They're on the brink of losing their life,
right,
and they don't understand, and it just breaks my heart. I just have a heart.
I think it just has a lot to do with where they're at with their belief system. So even Jonathan, my 29-year-old, was about 3 years old, and so now you understand that I'm a distributor at this point. I believe in the products, but he's got eczema down his arms and his body, and he's 3, maybe he's about 2.5, 3. And I'm taking him to the doctor, his pediatrician, and his pediatrician is prescribing him medications and so on. And I'm calling Dr. Wallach saying that the creams and the lotions and the medications that they're prescribing isn't working. And Dr. Wallach says, stop everything. Whoa, what are you doing? The child is deficient in EFAs. You've got to get him some more essential fatty acids into his body. And these pills also were gigantic. If you guys have ever seen our Ultimate EFA Plus, they're really big pills. And, Jonathan's a little kid. And Dad's like, you don't have to get him to swallow the pill. Cut it open, put it on a teaspoon of grape jelly, put it on top of the grape jelly, and spoon feed it to him. He'll be fine. Everybody, that was a major turning point in my life of my belief system, of my allopathic versus naturopathic belief system, because we gave Jonathan probably a week's worth of EFAs and no medication that the pediatrician had prescribed for the eczema. And she had told us, by the way, that the eczema was never going to go away. His skin completely cleared up. And I'm like, all right, this is Jonathan. Maybe he's an anomaly. Maybe it just happened to Jonathan. And there was another little girl, little Asian girl at his daycare. And she was so covered in eczema. And from the scratching, she had to wear little socks on her hands so she wouldn't scratch the itchy eczema. And I went to the mother on the side and I said, you know, I'm sure you're going to think I'm crazy. My father-in-law is a naturopathic physician. But I'm going to give you some EFA pills and I just want you to see if it will help or not. But I think it might, because my son had the same condition. And she looked at me like I was crazy, but she took the pills. Her daughter cleared up in a month. And I remember her crying her eyes out when I saw her, and her daughter wasn't having to wear the hand socks anymore. And then that was just like the ribbon on the box. The bow was done for me, that I didn't think my father-in-law was so crazy anymore, because that was my first personal medical experience of, hey, this nutrition actually was effective over the prescription that the doctor was prescribing. But my belief system before that was, why wouldn't, if this truly worked, why wasn't the pediatrician saying add more EFAs to the diet? And again, guys, I'm in my early 20s, so it's not like I have a ton of life experience on me whatsoever. You know, I'm still thinking dad's a little crazy because the things he says are a little crazy. Like, my belief system was, okay, I believe some of the things he says and I believe in the products, but do I really believe that they cure things? And I wasn't there. I was very much like, they might prevent things, but I didn't think that they could fix things and take things away that already exist.
Yeah.
And that was my major turning point of me physically seeing it happen in Jonathan, and then this other little girl at his daycare. And then me getting really frustrated at the medical system, that why weren't they helping parents more? It's fine to give a prescription. Like, I'm pro both. Don't think that I'm anti-allopathic. I'm not. I'm very pro both. I think both have a place on this earth. But I was frustrated with my pediatrician of, why didn't she suggest that in addition to the prescriptions that she wanted to prescribe? So anything that's happened to the kids from that day forward, they get a consultation with my father-in-law, no matter what. You know, and it's not that I haven't given them further prescriptions or antibiotics or whatever, but they get a consultation with my father-in-law, and I take what he says very seriously when there's something up with the kids.
Well, and as we should, but that's another great story. So you have some great stories, Michelle.
I don't think they're great stories. I just think that, when you're talking to people, and I was one of those people, so I can relate. I think when you're talking to people and you're like, hey, this can really help you, and this can be the best thing ever. It's, you know, I get there. You have to really know where their belief system is at, and you have to know how desperate they are. Am I as desperate for myself as I am for my children? I would say I am far more desperate to help my children than I am to help myself. So to see my child in pain or itching or discomfort, I'm going to go to the ends of the earth to try to help them. If I'm itching and pain, I might just go get some cortisone from the, grocery store and call it a day. So you have to, I always tell people, you have to gauge where they're at and what information they're going to respond to, because you can't just pounce on them with, I've got the fix for you. I've got the cure for you. I've got exactly what you need. They have to be in that receiving mode of information as well. And they have to be ready to fix it, because we've all met people who were sick or have had issues for a long time that they could have done things over the period of time that they chose not to do. And when they get desperate enough, they'll finally come to you, for sure. I'm sure you've experienced that.
Yes, quite
Right?
a lot, actually. And yeah, but as someone who is a certified holistic health coach that I am, which Doc keeps reminding me, I'm part of his army.
You are.
It does. It really breaks my heart when I can give them an alternative to what they're doing, because what they're doing is clearly not working. And well,
give this a go.
Do them in conjunction if you want.
Do them in conjunction. I always say that. Do them in conjunction.
You know, and they say, oh, but won't that interfere with what the doctor? And again, it shouldn't. It's all natural. It's, you know, plant-based, so it shouldn't. Now, if you go and buy something off the supermarket shelf that is saying it's the same as ours, but it's actually not, I can't promise you what that will do. In fact, right. I'm pretty sure it won't help at all. But you know, what do? There's an old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Right.
And I do have people come to me and want my advice, but if they don't take it, that's just, I can't do, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't twist their arm.
No, but I think the important thing there is that you've let them know that you're available for when they are ready. You know, just like with Dr. Wallach, you know, giving us the application at 19, and I'm finally calling him back at 23 going, okay, I might be ready for that application now.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Know, hey, I'm here, and you know, it's up to their time schedule as to when they're going to use it. I do believe that everybody will eventually use it.
Yeah, like as I said, there comes a time when, well, even more so these days than when I was growing up. When I was growing up, see, this is showing my age, right? You chose your career path, and that's where you usually stayed till you retired. Because I was, when I left the farm, I left this district where I actually live now, because I grew up on a dairy farm just not far from where I live now, and I went to Brisbane to do my nursing. You know, and this country girl to the city, that was scary. But you know, and that was the path that I was going down until I was paralyzed at 25, and I had to change course. I had 2 little babies at the time, so taught myself to walk again. That's all a whole nother story. Wow. But to this day, no doctor can figure out why that happened. And then when I came and heard Dr. Wallach talking and stuff, I now know myself, and done the holistic health coach course, I now know myself, apart from all the injuries I'd had from farm life and from nursing, just the combination of everything, and then the lack of nutrients and minerals. I've got my life back, Michelle, thanks to your dad. I've got my life back. You know, like 3 years ago, I couldn't lift my arms. Oh, wow. My shoulders. You know, I could, getting to that level, I was in extraordinary pain. And I taught myself to walk again pretty quick, but I did it without medication. And I've always been about trying to find the natural ways anyway. Yeah. So yeah, it was just it's really turned my life around. Really, my health, I feel fitter and healthier today at 63, because I just turned 63 in October. Amazing. And then what I did in my 20s.
Wow. That's awesome. I love that. That is I love hearing that.
And every day I feel fitter and healthier. And I know that these products are doing their job, because when we run out, because it's no fault of Youngevity's or anyone else's, there's shipping, it's usually a shipping issue or means not ordering it in time. And we run out, both my husband and I notice the difference.
Wow.
You know, we think, oh my goodness, why are we suddenly always feeling this way or feeling that? And then, oh yes, we've been out of that. Why is it taking so long to get here? But it's often here in Australia, it sits in customs for a month, waiting for them to process it. That doesn't help. But anyway, I know you're really busy, Michelle, and I have loved this. I love this chat we've had. I've learned so much. So
no, I'll be happy to come back in the future and answer any questions you'd like me to answer. No worries. I'm an open book.
Wow, that'd be awesome. And one time when you and Sheryl and Annelise are together, we'll have to do this with the four of us.
Oh, no. Okay, you know what? I can personally attest that Annelise and Sheryl would love to do that. We would all three love to be on together with you. That would be so much fun.
It would be. I can just imagine it. Just, you know, we'd be on here forever.
I will tell you, there is no script, and you have to calm us down and like keep us in order, because we just like fly off and go in 8 different directions. But when we do get together,
me, I don't keep anyone in order.
well, I love it.
My
I
kids.
love it. No, it's all good. I love it.
That would be a fun thing, I reckon. That'd be just,
Sure.
just awesome.
Love to do that. That would be fun. We would enjoy that very much.
Oh, well, and I would love it, and I'm sure our viewers would love it, especially those who, well, because I've interviewed Sheryl and I've interviewed Annelise. Now they've got to know you a bit. Can you imagine?
Oh no, I can imagine. No, the 3 of us, yes. No, I can totally imagine. It would be a lot of fun. We would love that.
Oh, that'd be good. Well, guys, I better let Michelle go, because she's a CEO. She's a busy girl, and she's taken the time out to come here to Bronnie's World and have a chat with us. And I have loved it so much. I loved it. So as I ask all my viewers very nice thing to do, to stay safe, stay informed, guys, and be empowered, and do not live in fear. Because when you get to know the stories behind people like Michelle, our COO, a coup, that's a coup.
Like that.
You too will be powerful, beautiful, brilliant, and most definitely very brave. Just take control of your life, guys, and you will be all that God intended you to be. That's what I think. So for another day here in Bronnie's World, catch you all tomorrow, and God bless. And thank you very much, Michelle, for coming and dropping by.
Thank you.